Om Shri Sai Ram. Today I am going to tell you a story from the Buddhist Jataka tales. This is a very popular story even now in Burma, which we now call Myanmar, and a lot of plays are staged based on this story. This is a story of Kush and Prabhavati. So very long time ago, in the very old days, in the eastern part of India, somewhere near the areas of West Bengal and Odisha, in those areas there used to be a kingdom, and this kingdom was called Kushavati. And the king Okak and his wife Shilavati, they ruled there in Kushavati. Now they were a very good couple and the people were happy with them and life seemed all hunky-dory except that they had no children. The royal couple was without an heir and this bothered the queen a lot. And so Queen Shilavati, she prayed to Lord Indra, the Devaraj, the king of the gods. And she prayed to him and she requested him and begged him and prayed to him again and again to give her a son who was equivalent to Lord Indra, who would shine as glorious as him. That was what she wanted. And so finally, pleased with her devotion, Lord Indra came to her in her dream when she was sleeping in the royal chamber. And King Indra the, he came to her and then he asked her, what do you want, Shilavati? And then she said, my lord, I want a son just like you, a radiant son, somebody whose fame and glory would be unparalleled, a son who is equal to none, who is better than all. And so Indra said, well, it's a lot you are asking for, aren't you? That you want the perfect son. And she said, yes, my lord, that is what I want. So Indra said, well, I offer you a choice. Either I will give you a perfect son who is good, strong, intelligent, capable, renowned, whose fame and valor will be unsurpassed by anyone. He would make a great king, but he would also be not good looking. In fact, you could call him ugly. Or else you could choose an exceptionally handsome son, a very handsome son, but this guy would be a fool. So which one do you choose? The handsome one or the perfect one? So the queen didn't have to think about it. And she said, my lord, I choose the perfect son, the son with all the qualities, with all the values, the one who is going to look after this kingdom. I don't mind if he's not good looking, because looks are not everything. All the other qualities, they come first. So Indra was pleased with her answer and he said, well, you are wise, so I'm happy with you. I will give you this son who will be just like me in fame and renown and valor, and he will be strong and intelligent and capable, and he will excel at everything. And then as a bonus, I'm giving you a second son also, and the second son will be exceptionally handsome. But like I said, he would be a fool. So the queen just raised her hands like this and thanked him, and Devraj Indra blessed her and walked away. The next day the queen was delighted as she told the king about this very auspicious dream and said, I'm sure we are going to be blessed with an excellent son very soon. And the prophecy came true. After 9 months, the queen delivered a very cute little baby boy. This baby boy, his eyes shone with intelligence, even as after he was born. He opened his eyes and he looked around. He was sharp and intelligent, and he was very loving also. He was not just intelligent, he was good-hearted. And as he grew up, the people in the palace loved him because he was such a happy little prince. He was perfect at everything. He was good at everything. He was good at games. He was good at studies. He was good at everything. The only sad part was that he was not good looking. He was very ordinary to look at. In fact, you could call him a little ugly. And then soon after Kush was born, the queen gave birth to another son. And this son, he was so good looking. It was like nobody had seen such a very beautiful baby boy ever before. The elder prince was named Kush and the younger one was named Jayampati. And these two princes, they grew up in their father's palace happily, playing together, laughing and talking together, learning, going for lessons. And they were the best of friends. And Kush excelled at everything, as Indra had prophesied. He was good at scriptures, he was good at studies, he was good at economics, at politics. And as if that was not enough, he was excellent at archery and all the skills that a Kshatriya should know. He was good at warfare. He was also good at the fine arts, as if all this was not enough. He was great at pottery, he was a good sculptor, he was a good painter, he was a good musician, he was also good at dance. In short, he was just perfect. And as Kush was growing up, the king Okak felt that his son was capable of looking after the kingdom. So he told Shilavati that my queen, the Prince Kush, is now 16 years old. And I think it's time that we should get him married and then place him on the throne. And then I will take renunciation and go to the forest. The queen said, I agree with you, my lord, and I shall also follow you. But first, let's get him married. So they called Prince Kush to their chamber and told him that you have to find a wife. We want you to get married. This made Kush very sad. Any other boy would have been excited and happy at the prospect of getting married. But Kush became sad because he knew that he was not good looking. And he also realized that none of the girls was ever going to fall in love with him. Because all the girls, they dream about a very handsome Prince Charming. Nobody dreams of the Frog Prince. But what could he do? He also realized that because their kingdom was very powerful and they were a great kingdom and his father was a very strong king, he realized that no princes would dare to say no to this match because they would be afraid of the military skill of Kushavati. And he realized that some poor girl, hapless girl, was going to have to say yes to marry the ugly prince, whether she wanted to or not. And this broke his heart, that he would be living with a companion who didn't really want to live with him, who wouldn't love him, because for him love was paramount. He was a very loving boy. So then he thought, what should I do? I don't want to get married, but yet if I say no, my parents are going to be heartbroken. And then finally, he hit upon a plan. What in Hindi we call, na to nau mein tel hoga, na radha nachegi. So what he did was that he closed himself in his chamber, and for 7 days and 7 nights, he worked like a madman at the stone of slab. He was sculpting away. And at the end of a week, finally, when Prince Kush looked at his creation, he himself was mesmerized. He had created a most exquisite creature. She was such a stone statue of such a delicate and beautiful girl whose limbs, her face, her lotus eyes, her long tresses, everything was just perfect. Up to the expression on her face, everything was very well sculpted. She looked like she was alive. She looked like a beautiful young girl was standing there and looking at people sideways, smiling. Kush himself was very pleased and very happy, and he thought, well, I'll tell my mother that I'll only marry if you find a girl like this, and if you can't find a girl like her, then I won't marry. So this way it's going to be okay. I can be a happy bachelor. So he called his mother and he showed her the statue and informed her of his decision, that he would marry only if they found a girl as lovely as this. The queen wasted no time, and she called the royal servants and she called the Rajdutas and told them, take the statue to all the parts of the country, to all the kingdoms, far and wide, near and far, go everywhere and show the statue and see what you hear. And then finally, when you find a girl like this, come and tell me, for the prince needs a good wife. And so the servants, they took the statue and they went everywhere. They went to the kingdoms nearby, then they went further on to the kingdoms that were much further away. And everywhere they would go and hide after placing the statue at a common place where the people of the village or the city would come together and chat, and they would look at the statue and then they would talk. And wherever they went, these people, they heard the same things. People would marvel at the statue. They would gawp, they would gape at it and say, oh my God, what a beautiful statue. Who's the sculptor? This looks like it is some divine architect. It cannot be the work of a human hand. This statue is too perfect. She is exquisite. Like this they would hear, but nothing else. And so then the next day they would take the statue and move on. Finally, they came to the kingdom of Madra. Now the kingdom of Madra is in present-day Punjab, near Sialkot. And here, the capital city was Sagal. And here, they placed the statue again near the river, and then they hid themselves in the trees nearby. And they waited to observe the reactions of the town people. And not long, They had to wait because an old woman was coming. The old woman had a bent back and she had white hair, and she was talking 19 to a dozen with 7 or 8 young girls who were accompanying her, and they were all laughing and talking and coming to the river to take a bath. And when she came to the river, the old woman suddenly she spied the statue, and she said, "Oh my lord, what am I seeing? Prabhavati, what are you doing here, standing out here by the river, all by yourself? If your father found out, it would be the end of all of us. How could you do this? You naughty girl. Come." And then she took her hand, to like carry her forcibly. But then her hand struck stone and her hand got hurt. And she said, "Ow, my hand hurts. This is stone." "Oh, it's a statue." Then she looked closely upon the face and said, "Oh, what a fool I am to think this is my Prabhavati. This is just a silly statue." But the servants had heard enough. And so they immediately came up on the old woman and they asked her, "What do you mean? Tell us, what do you mean?" And the old woman said, "Arey, what do I mean? This is just a silly statue. She doesn't compare to my princess. My princess is so beautiful." They said, "What is the name of the princess?" And she said, "The princess is Princess Prabhavati of Madhya Pradesh. She is the king's eldest daughter. And I'm telling you, this statue is like dust in front of her beauty. How could I be thinking that this is my princess? I was fooled." This made the Doots very happy, and so they went and they met the king of Madra and informed them about the king of Kushavati wanting to marry his son. Then they informed the king of Kushavati, and the king and queen they came to Madhya Pradesh. And then there they met the king, and everyone was very happy, and the match was agreed upon basically. Because when Queen Shilavati she saw the Princess Prabhavati, she was taken aback. How startlingly beautiful she was! Such an exquisite creature. It seemed like God had taken more than the normal time to create this one. It didn't seem possible. She was like a heavenly nymph, like some apsara. She was that beautiful. And the queen thoughtfully, she thought to herself, "This beautiful girl, if she sees my son, she is going to reject him. Because this age is such that girls are silly. She will not see my son's virtues. She will not see what a good and kind heart she has. All she will see is that he doesn't look so good, and she will reject him. To make this match happen, I must try to trick her." So then the queen told the king of Madra and said, "I am willing to accept your daughter as my daughter-in-law. We are happy with her. But we have a condition. We have a strange condition in our family." And the king of Madra said, "What is that?" And Queen Shilavati said, "Well, the new wife cannot see the husband's face till she has conceived. Only after she has conceived can she see the face of her husband. If your daughter is willing to agree to this, it's okay with us. Otherwise, we cannot have this match." So the king asked his daughter. Prabhavati was okay to this, that she would not see her husband's face till she had conceived. And so then Queen Shilavati sighed a breath of relief, and Prince Kush, he came there, and his face was heavily garlanded with flowers, and nobody could see his face. And like that, the marriage took place. And finally, everyone was happy. Everyone was very happy. There was a lot of celebration, a lot of gifts and pomp and show. And the public was given thousands of gold coins as gifts. The Brahmins were fed, cows were given, all sort of things were done for the grand marriage. And finally, the king of Kushavati, along with his wife and his son, he came back from the wedding. Now everyone in the kingdom was happy, and Kushavati was also celebrating just like the kingdom of Madra, but only one person was unhappy, and that was Kush. Prince Kush was very unhappy because he was very excited. He had created a statue who he thought none could surpass. It was so lovely, and yet a princess who had been found who was lovelier than the statue, so it seemed, and now she was his wife. But he could not even be near her. He could not see her face. He was not allowed to go near her. And he wanted desperately to be with her. So he begged his mother, "Mother, I want to see her once. Please let me see her. Please let me see her. I haven't seen her at close quarters ever. I'm so curious." So his mother said, "You should wait a little. Don't be so impatient." But again he begged. So she said, "All right, I'll take her to see your horses and elephants. You be there, but be dressed as a workman. Don't be dressed as a prince. All right, she cannot see you." He said, "All right, I will be dressed like a servant. You don't worry." So Kush dressed himself up as a very lowly, page boy kind of person in the stables. And there he waited near the elephants and the horses, excitedly for his young wife to come. And then Shilavati went to Prabhavati and told her, "My dear, you haven't yet seen your husband's kings and horses, have you?" He has so many elephants and he has horses and he has soldiers. Come with me, let us go and see them. And so she said, all right, mother. And so they both went to see the elephants and the horses. And there the king Kush was, and he was there hiding. And he stared at the princess, and she was so lovely, and she was so beautiful and so perfect. He felt he was dreaming. This has to be a dream. She can't be for real. And then, just to make sure, he did a very silly thing. He picked up a clod of earth and he threw it at the princess. The clod of earth, it hit the princess and she got very mad. She was very upset. Her eyes, which were so lovely till a second ago, they blazed with anger and fury as she looked at that lowly page boy and said, how dare you? Don't you know my husband is going to be the king and I am going to be the queen of this country? How dare you hit me with this soiled earth? I'll have you punished. I'll have you beheaded for this. At this, Kush just vanished, and Queen Shilavati said hurriedly to Prabhavati, my dear, don't say such words. He's a very good worker. You don't know him. He looks after all the elephants and horses very well. When they fall sick, he is the only one who can treat them. Please don't be angry with him. Come with me. And they hurried away. But the princess thought it was odd that why her mother-in-law, the queen, should not object to a lowly page boy insulting the daughter-in-law like this by throwing a clod of earth at her. She was furious, but what could she do? Now a few days passed, and then again Kush got the urge to look at his wife, and so he begged his mother, mother, please, I want to see her again. Please. And his mother said, you must not ask me of such things. And then he said, but please, I have to. So she relented and said, all right, this time sit on the elephant and take a ride in the city, but sit behind your brother. Make your younger brother Jayampati sit in front. Let him be the prince, the elder one. Let him pose as the elder prince. You sit behind him and be dressed in rags, not in the king's clothes. Kush said, all right, mother, I'll do exactly that. And so Jayampati, he sat on the elephant in front, and Kush sat beside him in the servant's clothes, and both these brothers, they went for the ride on the elephant. Now they were taking a tour of the city, and then Shilavati told her daughter-in-law Prabhavati, come, your husband is taking a ride in the city. Come, let's see him. See how handsome he looks. And so she took Prabhavati to the jharoka, to the window, from where she looked. Now Prabhavati, as she looked, she gazed, she saw Jayampati, the most handsome Jayampati, sitting in front, and she adored him, how handsome he was, how good he looked, and she blushed with happiness. I'm so lucky I'm married to this good-looking guy. And then suddenly she saw the guy behind him, the guy who looked like a clown, like an idiot, and he was grinning and waving at her. Oh my lord, she looked at him and she couldn't believe it. Look at his audacity. He is grinning and waving like a clown at the daughter-in-law of the king and queen. Who does he think he is? And then she recognized him. Oh, he's the same guy. He was there in the elephant stalls. Who does he think he is? And then she turned to the queen and said, who is that guy behind the King Jayampati? No, not the King Jayampati. She said, behind the prince. Who is that guy? And the queen said hurriedly, oh, I said, no, he's the helper. He's a good servant. Don't mind him. Don't mind him. Don't look at him. But the princess became thoughtful, and she thought these people are definitely hiding something. So she told her nanny, the old woman who was the nanny of the princess Prabhavati, she had come with the princess after the marriage, and she told her, Nanny, go and find out. Go and find out who is Prince Kush, the one who is sitting in the front or the one who is sitting behind. I have to know. And the nanny said, how will I know who is Prince Kush? She said, listen to me. The one who is the elder prince will get down first from the elephant, and the one who is younger, he will get down later. That is how you will find out who is Prince Kush. The one who gets down first will be Prince Kush. The old woman said, all right, and she went and joined the crowd, and she was also looking, and Kush also caught her looking at them. And of course Kush alighted first. He was the elder prince. He alighted first, and the old woman got a shock. Oh my god, this ugly gnome-like creature, he is Prince Kush. My princess is married to him. Oh my god. She was like, the princess is not going to like it. But then Kush told his soldiers to go and get her. And she was a little frightened. And so she went with them to Prince Kusha's chamber. And there Kush told her kindly but sternly, listen, I know you are Prabhavati's nanny. And I know you were there to spy on me. But I'm telling you, don't tell her. If you tell her, it will not be good for you. Anyways, we are married. What can you do? So the old woman thought, well, he's right, he's her husband, they are married, and what can I do after all? But he can do a lot, he can punish me. Why should I be punished for nothing that I have done? So she said, all right, I will tell my princess that your younger brother was the first to get down. Kush said, yes, that's right, I will reward you handsomely. And so the old woman went away. Then Prabhavati asked her nanny eagerly, so who alighted first? The ugly one or the handsome one? And the old nanny said, oh, don't worry, my princess. The handsome prince, he got down first. And Prabhavati said, thank God, I'd been so worried all the time, that I was married to that man. Now I can sleep in peace. And like this, some time passed and things were going along fine till Prince Kush got the urge again to look at his lovely wife. And so he begged his mother once again, Mother, please let me look at her. And of course, the queen refused. And of course, Kush argued that he had to look at her. And again, the queen relented and said, all right, I will take her to the lotus pool. I will send her to the lotus pool to go and enjoy there. You go and hide there in the garden. Stand behind a tree and then you can gaze at her. And he said, all right. So he went there, and the queen, she sent Prabhavati, go, all the lotuses are in bloom. It's a very beautiful pond. Go there and play with your friends. Prabhavati said happily, all right, mother. So Prabhavati and her friends, they all went to the lotus pool. But nobody knew that King Kush wanted to take a closer look at his wife. So he was not hiding by the trees, he was hiding instead in the water, beneath a large lotus. And Prabhavati, she went straight to that big lotus and exclaimed, I haven't ever seen such a beautiful and big lotus like this. Let me pluck it. And so she went to pluck the lotus, and there, beneath the water, she saw a hideous face looking up at her. She could hardly believe it. Oh my God, it's a monster in the water, she screamed and she fainted. And then Kush, he brought her out of the water and she woke up again and then she screamed when she saw. She said, let me down, who are you? And then he said, I'm your husband, don't worry. And then she said, how can you be my husband? And he said, but we are married. And she said, I don't believe in this marriage. You have tricked me into marriage and I will not stay with you. I don't like you and I will go away. Kush was very sad and Prabhavati was very angry and heartbroken. And she stormed off to her palace and then she informed the king and queen that she will not be staying there a moment longer with their ugly son. And then she went off to her own kingdom and she left a heartbroken Kush behind her. Kush was very sad and his parents said, we can stop the princess from leaving. She is after all legally married to you. She cannot leave your palace. We can stop her. And he said, no, mother, don't do that. Don't stop her forcibly. It will only break her heart. And if her heart breaks, mine shall be shattered. I don't want her to be hurt. I love her. Let her go. If she loves me, she will come back. But Prabhavati did not love Kush, and so she went off to her father's palace and started living there happily. She had 7 sisters also, and so all these 8 sisters together, they used to enjoy their life at the palace, living happily. Her sisters would often mock her marriage and her husband and all that had happened. They would tease her, and then she would, get a little frustrated and then say, it was also wrong of everyone to trick me into this marriage, and I don't recognize this marriage. And then her sisters would laugh. Of course, we know you don't. We know you hate Prince Kush. And like this, time was going by, and then Kush was feeling very sad and lonely. And so he told his mother, Mother, I'm going to try to bring her back. I'll go to their kingdom and I'll try to win her hand back. And his mother said, are you sure you want to do that? And he said, yes, please let me try. So Kush dressed in very ordinary clothes and he went to the kingdom of Madra. And there he stayed near the palace. Outside the palace doors, he stayed in a tent. And there he played the most beautiful music on the veena. And as the music reached inside the palace, Prabhavati also heard the music. It was divine, it was exquisite, it was heavenly. Everyone was entranced with the music. Prabhavati also lost herself for a few moments, and then she remembered and her heart hardened. She realized she had heard this music in Kushavati, and she knew that her husband used to play the veena like this. She knew it was Prince Kush who was playing the veena. Till she had not seen his face, she had admired the sound of his music. Without knowing his face, she had loved his music. But now she knew he was here and she was upset. He has followed me here. How dare he? And so she shut the windows and put a pillow on her head and then she went to bed. The next day, Prince Kush, he went to the potter, to the royal potter's cottage, and there he said, Master, can I work for you? And the potter needed an assistant, and so he said, Sure, start working for me. What can you make? And Kush made the most beautiful jar. It was such a beautiful jar, and on that he sculpted a statue of the princess, along with her nanny, the old nanny and the young princess. And the royal potter marveled, What an artist you are! What an artisan! But this is excellent. I will show it to His Majesty. And so the royal potter took all the pots to the king, and the king admired them and said, These are beautiful. Who made them? Did you make them? And he said, No, Your Majesty, it's my new assistant. He made them. The king said, You fool, he's not your assistant, he's your master. And then he gave him a pouch full of gold coins and said, Go, give it to him. This is his reward. And take these pots inside for the princesses to see. Let them choose which ones they want. And so the royal potter took all the pots inside, and Prabhavati and her 7 sisters and their mother, they all admired the pots, till Prabhavati saw the one on which she was there with her old nanny. And she knew that this has been made by Kush. And so, of course, she hated it. Her sisters were admiring it. Oh my God, sister, just look at this. Who is this artist? He has sketched your lovely face so beautifully on this pot. It's almost like you were modeling for him. How does he know your face so well? But Prabhavati was upset. I don't like this pot. Who says it is good? I don't like it. And she threw it and it smashed on the ground. Her sisters laughed and said, Oh my God, Prabhavati is so unhappy. It is almost as if it was a gift sent by Prince Kush. Look at her, she's so upset unnecessarily. Prabhavati didn't say anything. The royal potter went back sadly, and he gave the gold coins to the young artist and said, This is your reward. The king gave it. But the Prince Kush didn't want the reward, so he gave it back to the royal potter and said, You keep it. Tell me, what did the princesses say? He said all the princesses liked it. The queen also liked it, but Prabhavati, she smashed it to the ground. She seemed very upset with it. I don't know why. That princess probably has no taste. Kush didn't say anything, but he realized that it will not serve his purpose to be here anymore. Prabhavati knows that I have come and she refuses to talk to me. All right, let me go. So he went from there and he went to the royal fan maker, the one who used to make the fans for the king and queen and the princesses, the handheld fans which the maids would use. And there again he created a beautiful painting of Prabhavati in the lotus pond along with her friends, laughing and playing happily. Again, the same thing happened. The fan maker went to the king's court, and the king rewarded him and told him to show the fans to the princesses. And all the princesses adored all the fans. But Prabhavati hated the fan on which she was painted, along with her friends, in the lotus pond. And she said, I don't know what is wrong with you. Why do you bring such hideous things for me to see? I do not want to see this. Take it away. And she threw it to the ground. And again her sister snickered. Look at Didi, look at her. She hates this, as if it is a gift from Prince Kush, as if the prince himself has sent it. How silly of her. Prabhavati didn't say anything. She didn't tell her parents or her sisters that her husband was there in the city and that he was indeed sending all these gifts for her. Now Kush realized it won't work to, stay at a distance. I will somehow have to find a way to be inside the palace to convince her how much I love her. And so he decided to go to the royal kitchen. And there, the head cook had just kicked out one of the assistants, and there was a vacancy. So Kush got that job because there was a vacancy, and he started working at the royal kitchen as a chef, as one of the lowly assistant chefs, the one who was to assist the head cook. And the head cook told him, well, if it's okay with you, you are not going to be eating at the royal kitchen. We are not going to feed you. We will pay you, but we will not feed you. You will have to cook your own food. Is that okay? And Kush said, that's fine with me, because he was a master at cooking also. He knew all skills. And while the royal cook was serving the royal family, Kush was cooking his own food, and the aroma rose and wafted across the palace. And the king, who had started eating his first morsel, he stopped and said, what is that? Where is that aroma coming from? And the head cook said uncomfortably, it's the youngest assistant, my sir, O royal king. Please have your meal. It is only the young assistant. He is only cooking his meal. That's it. But the king said, I would like to taste it. It smells better than whatever is served here. So the royal cook said, all right. And then that food was brought for the king to taste, and the king loved it. And he said, from nowadays, he is going to cook for me and the royal family. He is the best one. I haven't ever tasted such divine food. And so Kush was promoted. Now Prabhavati, she was very upset when she saw Kush bringing a tray of food for her father one day. She was very upset. 1, that he was there. 2, that he was working in their kitchen. 3, that he was fetching trays like he was a servant, even though he was a royal prince who was destined to be the king of his kingdom. And so she told him, she hid behind a door and told him, Prince Kush, go away. I am never going to fall in love with you. I'm never going to live with you. I don't think you are good looking at all. And I can't bear to be with someone who is not good looking. So please go away to your kingdom. Don't waste your time here. Kush told her softly, but a wife's place is with the husband, and the husband's place is with his wife. Since you won't come and live with me, I have come to live with you. Give me some time. I will make you fall in love with me. Don't ignore me. Please give me a chance. And the princess suddenly got scared. What if somebody saw them talking with each other? What if Kush tells them that I am her husband? I can talk with her. What if he takes hold of my hand and grabs my hand? People will tell me to go back with him. Nobody is going to listen to me. So she immediately shut the door so that he could not talk with her anymore. And she hid behind that. Now 7 months passed like this. Kush was trying very hard to win his wife's heart, to make her understand that he was a good and kind prince. Even if he was not good looking, he was a good man. And he was hoping that ultimately Prabhavati, her heart would melt, that she would not be the ice queen anymore, and that she would start loving him. But nothing like this happened, and 7 months passed. And ultimately he thought sadly, he was dejected, he was depressed, and he thought, it's been a long time since I left my kingdom, I left my parents, I left my people. My obligation is there towards my people and my parents. I should go back to my kingdom. This hard-hearted princess can stay here with her parents. It's all right. If she doesn't love me, let her stay here with her parents. Let her be happy. I'll be happy alone all by myself, as I had thought. And that night, unhappily, Kush went to bed. But the Devraj Indra, the king of gods in Amravati, this didn't sit well with him, because Kush was born as his blessing. And he took a special interest in Kusha's life. And when he saw that Kush was heartbroken, he decided to teach the arrogant Prabhavati a lesson. So what Indra did was that he sent 7 letters, 7 invitations of marriage to 7 nearby kings of the adjoining kingdoms. And they were purportedly from Prabhavati's father, the king of Madra. And in them, the king of Madra had stated to each and every king that my daughter Prabhavati, who was married to the prince Kush of Kushavati, has left her husband. She is unhappy with the marriage and has come back to me. Therefore, I wish to arrange her match with you. Will you please come and marry her? I cannot think of a better son-in-law than you. And this letter was sent to 7 kings. And each of them was delighted to receive the letter, because everyone had heard of Prabhavati's beauty, how beautiful she was, and they all wanted to marry her. What they did not know was that 7 of them had got this letter. And so they all came. And when the 7 of them came and they saw each other, and then they spoke and they showed their letters to each other, they were furious, and they felt that they had been insulted by Prabhavati's father. The king of Madra had done something he should not have done. He should not have invited 7 kings to come and marry his daughter. And they all decided that he shall pay for it. This king will pay for this. He cannot insult us. And so they sent a letter to Prabhavati's father saying that, well, since you have called all of us to come and marry Prabhavati, now give Prabhavati to all 7 of us. We all 7 of us will take her. And if you don't give her to us, all 7 of us are going to attack your kingdom together. When the king of Madra got this letter, he was extremely disturbed. He just didn't know what to do. He was very upset, and his queen asked him, why are you so worried, my dear? And he said, look what Prabhavati has done, matlab. This calamity has come to her. I don't know how, but these 7 kings got these letters from me. And now they say that they all 7 of them want her. How can I do this? The queen also said, how can you give Prabhavati to all 7 of them? Why not marry her to one of them? Maybe then the 6 of them will go away. And the king said, if I give her to any one of them, the other 6 will fight with me together. I won't be able to stand the combined 6 forces, of the adjoining kingdoms. If it was only one king, I could have done it. Can't fight 6 of them together. And this girl, she's so silly, she's stupid. She brought this upon herself. Where was the need for her to leave her husband and come here? She should have stayed there. The queen said, well, my dear, she didn't like her husband and they did trick her. You must remember that. The king said, yes, I know all that, but what do I do now? I will have to give her to them. And the queen exclaimed in horror, you can't do that. And he said, yes, I can. I'm going to cut her into 7 pieces and give each king 1 piece of her, and that will be the end of this story. The queen wept at that. Her beautiful, beautiful daughter, the eldest one, surely this could not be her end. And she went inside and she wept, and she took her child in her lap and cried and caressed her and told her, "Child, this is what is happening. The 7 kings have come for your hand, and now this is what your father is going to do. This is the only way to save the kingdom and the people. Your father says if those kings attack together, it is the people who will bear the brunt of the attack, the people who will be killed, who will be looted. We cannot allow that to happen. So you are going to be sacrificed." At that, Prabhavati also wept, and hot tears came out of her eyes. That this beautiful body that I had so loved, that I had anointed with so many ointments and makeup articles and beautiful jewels and costly clothes, is now going to cut up in 7 pieces. Then her mother said sadly, "If only King Kusha was here, if only your husband was here. He is so brave, he could have fought all of them off. If only he was here, he could have done something." So then Prabhavati, she wiped her tears and said, "But mother, he is here." Mother said, "What do you mean?" She said, "He is working in the royal palace. He is working in the kitchen as a chef. He is the one who is cooking our meals. He has come here to take me back with him." And then she hurried to the kitchen. And then she went to Kush, and then she cried so much and told him what a calamity had befallen her and how she was going to be cut up. And she begged Kush to save her from such a fate. So then Kush listened to all this, and he said, "All right, I understand, but don't worry. I will take care of the 7 kings. You go and wait for me. Wait with your parents. I will take this matter in my hands." And so then Kush, he went and he spoke with the 7 kings. And because the 7 kings knew about Kush, that he was her husband, and he argued that when her husband was already there, how could she be, given to any of those kings? This was against the law of Dharma. And then he explained to them that he was willing to give each of them 1 sister-in-law. Prabhavati had 7 sisters, and he promised her 7 sisters to the 7 kings, and thus appeased them. And because he was a very good diplomat also, he was very good at social policy and diplomatic policy, the kings agreed to his proposal. And in a great ceremony with a lot of fanfare, the 7 kings, they married Prabhavati's 7 sisters. And finally, Prabhavati and King Kush, they left for their own country. This time Prabhavati very happy to be with her own husband. And they went to Kushavati, and then they went and lived together for a very, very long time. I hope you liked the story. If you did, please let me know. Jai Sai Ram.